This is always the bad part of the road. Well, I put the phone away to drive that. It was the worst it's been. Come to an area today where I plan to see a couple nice glyphs that I've discovered before. I also got a tip from a friend that there might be some glyphs in a fairly vaguely defined area. That's why we like it. We don't use GPS coordinates. And there's going to be a fair amount of just open field walking here. There it is. I got sort of a story about this one. I probably stumbled on this one 10 years ago. It's an archaic spiral, I believe. To get the spiral. I haven't seen any other petroglyphs up here on this mesa that's like this one. It's this old. It's completely repatinated. So this thing's very likely a couple thousand years old. Most of the glyphs here are, 700 or 800 years. But I did stumble across this one. It was great. I've seen it when the grass is green. I tried to find it a couple months ago with a couple of friends of mine. And we walked all around here and we couldn't find it. So I'm glad to see it today. Oh. See, it's a nicely made. Well, I always call these deer, but I was realizing recently it could be elk. There's a story about that. The story is that I knew that elk were introduced into Arizona in the early 20th century. They're brought down from Montana, but I forgot the backstory, which is that they had been native to Arizona, but were moved to extinction in around 1900 due to hunting. And these were a subspecies called Merriam elk. I guess it's controversial as to whether they're really extinct. There's a couple versions of elk on the west coast that some say may be related to Merriam, which were, I think, the biggest of the elk. But the ones that we have nowadays here, I think a total of 300 were brought down from Montana. They're Rocky Mountain elk, but they're very common in Arizona now. 4x4.
Yeah. It's how many spines they've got
on
their rack.
I've been looking for petroglyphs. My friend mentioned might be around here. I've given up on finding them. I didn't, but I just did run across this bedrock metate. Let's see if I can get a view of it here. Of course, these are for grinding seeds and corn, make flour. Oh my, and here. Okay, I think I found the ones. That's sort of cool. Again, hard to see. Okay, there we see the spiral or circles. And I guess that's probably a bighorn up above it. A couple. So these I have not seen before. So it's nice to see some new ones. And I can tell there's some more behind me in the same location. Over here on this rock. Pretty nice. Again, these are pretty old ones. These are more patinated than, maybe not as patinated as that spiral earlier, but certainly more than that elk or deer we saw just a little bit ago. And I think, oh, there's some more over here. Actually, there's quite a few. This is pretty good. I've been in this area many times, but I've never come this exact spot. So let's just take in the view. There's some up top there as well. That's a couple of spirals connected. Some animals and some animals down here. Also some animals on this rock. Oh, and I see an unusual one down there that I missed. I gotta go get that one. There's a person there. Here he is. This is the one I almost missed. Look at that. He's really quite deep, and that is obviously a person in a little different style than usual. So again, I suspect it's very old. I'll show you the size of it. Quite small. Look at these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, perhaps. Over here some more. Look to be mainly bighorns. Not bad. Oh, there's a couple good ones here. Let's go have a look. Nice. They hide around the corner. This seems to be another old spiral. Heck, that looks as old as the other one I was talking about. But look at this up here. This is quite unique. Quite unique. I use that term a lot, but it's certainly true. Look at the two people, probably a male and female, in negative relief there. And next to it, a guy who's, I don't know, dealing with an animal, perhaps. That's really unusual, particularly the negative relief with the two people, let's call them husband and wife. Well, that was pretty cool. I'd given up on finding anything down that hill, and after I'd given up, that's when I found him. Just going to do some walking here on the mesa through the grassland. I think we'll go by a satellite ruin. There you see some stacked stone, some pottery. Coming up on this ruin, you can see it's a sort of a lump of stuff that sticks up. It's collapsed. I think it was a pretty big ruin at one point. Pretty big habitation site at one point, but the walls collapsed over time. Probably was built, somewhere around 700 years ago. You can see the stacked stone around the edges though. That's what remains of some of the walls. There's, I'm seeing some bits of pottery. It's the reddish stuff you see. Pick up a few pieces. Okay, this room has been well dug out. No doubt by pot hunters. I don't believe any archaeologists have excavated these. But that's a big room. That's, I don't know, 25 feet by 15. That's a plain pottery. It's mainly what you find around here. There's something written on that rock. Haven't seen a thing for, I don't know, 45 minutes, but that is a modern inscription. AS was here in 1928. That's 97 years ago. Haven't seen that before. I've gotten into a bit of the burn area walking in, and this little flat thing with a concentration of rocks. Maybe a Maybe a small habitation site to look around. That's pottery. It's a little windy. I hope it's not killing the audio. You see, this is a small ruin right here. That is a very nice straight wall there. That's one edge. And that's a nice corner there. And the rest of it is a little harder to make out, but continues along like that. Across. And then you can't see the wall so clearly on this side, but I think this explains why we've got some pottery around here. We have a little habitation site. Remember this one? We'll have to shade that. Look at the nice big horn and the spiral with the feet. Okay, I've taken a little rest, had a snack, and I'm going to look at these glyphs here a little more carefully. I just see opposite where I'm sitting. There's a big horn, a big horn, and a little big horn. The nice glyphs I showed a minute ago are over here. Another little big horn. This is the impressive one here. I stumbled across these, I don't know, 10 years ago. Very impressive. If you look, there are 13, and I'm calling them feet around the edge. You might wonder why 13 instead of 12. Well, I think the explanation is it's 13 lunar months. 13 times 28 is 364. I think I've seen other examples of that. If I can find them, I'll put a picture in. There's also some glyphs over here. They're sort of cool. It looks like a big horn on a spiral. There's a nice little couple little spirals here as well. It's a nice spot. There it is. Again, I hope the wind's not killing me, but this is a very nice glyph here. I got a story about it, but first let's look at it. That is a lizard with a magical tail. Maybe like a moon or an eclipse or something over next to it. It's a beautiful glyph. Well, the story I have is that in 2017, a journal, I think it's called maybe the Journal of Arizona Archaeology, had on its cover a picture of 6 or 7 people flanked around this glyph. And it was a beautiful picture. And what bothered me a little bit, they said it was up on this mesa where I'd been coming to for years, and I didn't know this glyph existed. I'd never even seen a picture of it. So I was a bit embarrassed because I thought I knew the mesa pretty well. Anyway, I figured out where it was, and I came and found it. And it's worth revisiting since I'm in the vicinity. Well, it's a little interesting thing. I just came across it amongst all these rocks. But somebody's piled rocks up on top of that bigger rock. Could be an ancient shelter, or it could have been the shepherds of 100 years ago. Hard to know, but sort of a cool spot. I don't know. Is that a tool? Is that a Mono? Maybe. Certainly doesn't look like the rest of the volcanic rocks here. Just happened to see it as I walked by. Yep, that's a pretty good sized piece. Again, out in the middle of the field. I think this could have been an agricultural field here. On the satellite, you can see a waffle pattern. Can't see it from the ground.